Today, Q research boards under DDoS attack as Q exposes highly sensitive information regarding intelligence agencies' participation in secret mind control programs. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every one of these episodes starts the same way. I say thank you to every one of my subscribers. A, because there's always more new subscribers, and B, because I truly am thankful for each and every one of you. If you have not hit that subscribe button, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. It helps the channel out big time, and make sure you hit that bell so that as soon as these videos get posted, you'll be notified, because as soon as information is made available to me, I make it available to you. Now, we're going to go right into the latest Q posts, starting right here. If you guys want to go back, watch my latest video, and we talk about everything from here backwards. If you guys want to find that, it's here on the landing page. It's the latest video talking about this Ramos guy and what happened in Annapolis, Maryland, with that awful tragedy. So that is something that we're going to cover briefly here too on this video. But if you want to get more context, go back and watch this. And if you're scratching your head going, what is QAnon? Come here and watch this video first, and then kind of start picking up from there. And you'll be very much informed. Or share this video if you want to red pill your friends and family. But here's the latest Q post. Let's go ahead and read it. And ANON says, so this is where we left off. And it's continuing the conversation about Jared Ramos and what happened. It says, were the shooters all branded with this mark? And there's an ANON asking about this mark that this guy Jared Ramos put on people's foreheads in his Twitter psychosis or whatever. And Q says, the key equals therapist, weak minds, use of symbolism to push strength and belonging to something powerful. Controlled, duty, find the link, common denominator, error made. Name can be found due to filing. Fake, background, office, other patients, relocation imminent, conspiracy risk, end for now. Haspel must find and terminate classified program. She knows Q. Wow. So this is crazy, right? What Q is saying basically is that there's a common denominator between these people who go out and do these things, commit these acts of violence, and that the key is the therapist. Now, I haven't been able to determine who the therapist is for this person yet, but I know that, in a lot of articles, it's coming out that a part of what happened required that he go to therapy. So here's a report out of the Miami Herald talking about who is Jared Ramos, what we know about suspected Capitol Gazette newsroom shooter. And this article just goes on to outline what we talked about in the last video, how we explained that, he had a very strong disagreement with the one of the writers at the Capitol Gazette in a alleged case of defamation. He filed a suit against the newspaper and the reporter for defaming his character. He lost that suit subsequently after there was found to be no real evidence of defamation, as he was being reported on by the newspaper for being arrested for criminal harassment charges, right? And this is stemming all the way back to like 2011, but yeah, the article was published in 2011, and a week after Ramos had pleaded guilty to criminal harassment charges, court records said he was put on probation, required to attend therapy. Required to attend therapy. So I wonder who and what kind of therapy that was, because the insinuation being made by Q here is basically that the therapist has some sort of link between all of these incidents, and maybe not the same therapist. Maybe they use therapists, plural, to actually, do something as far as programming goes. Because a lot of people have been talking about MK Ultra, and Q even gets into some stuff later that's going to point us right back to the fact that what all this is saying, I mean, in my humble opinion, is that therapists take people with weak minds. They use symbolism to push strength and belonging in something powerful. They brainwash them to control them. They give them a sense of duty to do something. They find, and then Q is saying, find the link. What's the common denominator between all these individuals? He's saying, Q is also saying in this particular instance, there may have been an error made, and that because of the court filing, I would assume, that Ramos made, that you could actually probably find this therapist's name. I still haven't found it yet, but it certainly probably exists somewhere, and I'm sure a lot of Anons are out there working on that right now. But it's saying fake, background, office, other patients. So Relocation imminent, conspiracy risk. So is the person who is giving him, therapy fake? And the only reason I think that this is very pertinent is because look at what happened with Omar Mateen in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, where you actually have some pretty crazy facts behind that situation. And it's just another example of this kind of reckless and dangerous violence that's happening, right? It's saying conspiracy risk end for now. So they've stopped it probably temporarily because they know they're being exposed. Gina Haspel, the director of the CIA, must find and terminate these classified programs because she knows what they are and what they're doing. Q. That's how I break that down. Now, somebody, really great Anon over here, or Moji back on Reddit, said in regard to this post, talking about Omar Mateen, it says, Omar Mateen worked for G4S. The therapist that gave him site clearance states she didn't actually clear him. Quote, a psychological evaluation conducted by Dr. Carol Noodleman had found him to be mentally sound. But after the shootings, Noodleman issued a statement that said, quote, in September 2007, I was not living or working in Florida, and I did not administer any type of examination to Omar Mateen. G4S responded that there must have been a clerical error and that Mateen had been examined by another psychologist, but the company could not say whether that psychologist had ever met with Mateen or administered the test personally. And it also goes on to say that, like with what happened with that shooter in Parkland, that there were a lot of warning signs about this guy when he came and made a lot of statements about connections with Al Qaeda and Hezbollah and so on and so forth. And it even quotes down here former Director Comey of the FBI saying, it looks like things were done well with regard to the investigation into this. So obviously there's something not right there, and you don't have to scratch too much to get beneath the surface on that one, but there is more to it. And that just reminds me of this too, because could it be the same kind of thing? The court records will have someone's name that doesn't really exist, that's a fake name kind of, and just or that they didn't really do it, and then there's another person who's actually administering it, who's like some sort of intelligence agency operative. These are good questions. I mean, I'm not giving you anything other than pure speculation and conjecture at this point, but that is all we have to go on, especially with a lot of these Q posts, because there's so much research that needs to continue to be done as far as the what's going on behind the scenes here. But this is fascinating to me because it certainly shows that there is something Q is trying to tell us, and this leads to the board being attacked here later. You'll see a DDoS attack on the board itself because the information is very sensitive that we're talking about here. Now, it's saying, an Anon post here in the next post, Q, any comment on North Korea facilities and General Kelly? Thanks. Q actually has a statement on that. Interesting. First, he says, or they say, North Korea equals fake news. UK originated. North Korea has began denuclearization process under guidance from U.S. Rapid. Why are people always being moved around? Think strategy, the plan, military op, Q. Okay, so this right here is fascinating because what it's talking about is the whole connection here between this story that was breaking yesterday or a couple days ago, talking about how North Korea is rapidly upgrading its nuclear site despite the summit vow, which turns out to be, according to Q, fake news. And this fake news is originating out of the UK. Obviously, they have a vested interest in seeing that deal fall apart because they don't want to see, us go in and actually do what we said we're going to do and not have. Here's the thing: they all want North Korea as an existential threat to keep Americans and their citizenry scared. Because when you're scared, you turn over your rights. When you're scared, you ask for more security. When you're scared, you give more power to the government. When you're scared, you do all of those things that they want in order to take more control from you and put it in their hands and take away your rights. See, that's what this is all about. North Korea is they were and are a bad actor. They've committed a lot of violations, but this whole thing, why would you give countries like that material to make nuclear weapons? Why would you allow their programs to grow and not put a foot down and say no? It's because they needed that existential threat. If they can convince you that you're under a direct threat, then they can take away your rights. It's just like what happened after 9/11 with the Patriot Act. Everyone was so just terrified of the unknown, basically, at that point, and that the perceived threat of terrorism that, after what happened, the events of 9/11, that it just became, okay, well, here's all of our rights. We don't care. Same thing has happened all across, especially after the wave of terrorist actions in Europe when France declared martial law, and I think it was an indefinite declaration. I'm not sure if they're even still in it. I'm sure that they probably are at this point. And that's what happens. And that's their strategy. But now, what about General Kelly? Well, Fox News is basically reporting that Mercedes Schlapp, who is the White House Director of Strategic Communications, was on with Brian Kilmeade this morning from Fox News, and she said basically it's fake news. He's not leaving the White House. He's going to help President Trump pick a new Supreme Court justice, and that this was just another example of fake news. Whether that's true or not, we'll have to wait and see, because there's no information, and we have to take kind of them at face value. If Mercedes Schlapp says that, she's there as a strategic communications director. So yeah, I'll take that for the truth that, obviously the White House is not going to be dismissing General Kelly in the near future, at least it would seem. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes out. But this is what we've come into. We've come into the weaponization of news here. So because these stories get put out there to distract, they get put out there in order to basically have this like reinforced learning. We're going to talk about that in a second too. But here, let's just jump into the next one, because there is a strategy and there is a plan. And if I'm not sure, we have the military operation going on that is basically against the globalist cabal. And there's going to be some crazy stuff in this video later that you guys are going to be like, what? It's an article that may or may not have been written by David Brock and Jack Dorsey. Yeah, about how QAnon is really a military operation to put us all into some kind of slavery. Yeah, okay. We're going to talk about that later. It's going to be great. Always good read for a laugh, right? It says, so is Q telling us Haspel knows of the program but doesn't know where it is located at? She needs to locate it and terminate it. Time to dig for Ramos's therapist. Now, in response to this is an Anon posting here, and Q says in response to this, he gives us a screenshot, or they give us a screenshot of a former post that was put up by Q. And this is from all the way back in February 21st, when Q gave us this information about Project Deep Dream and its connections to Twitter, and how it's a way to put people to sleep and basically brainwash them into doing things, it would seem. That's the allegation of Q. And then it gives this reference to a Jason Bourne film, and also it gives this little cutout here, and it says Deep Dream equals Twitter. I've made a video on this before, and we'll cover it again here real quick. So here is the post itself, but we'll start here with the top, where it says, Snowden, where are you? Not Russia. Eyes on. You are now a liability. Helping at Jack. Project Deep Dream version 2A. We will never forget. Eric Schmidt failed. Where is Eric Schmidt? John Perry Barlow. Define the end. The day of reckoning is upon us. John 3:16 Q. So, there was a lot kind of wrapped up in there, but this was all around the time Snowden was basically a hot topic here on the Q boards, where we talked a lot about where he was, what he was doing, and who he was helping. And it's starting to look to me more and more that, and this is just my reading into it as I've seen and been around this for quite some time now, but it almost seems to me that Snowden was purposefully portrayed as a possible black hat on the Q board here in order to give him access to other individuals so that he could work with them in order to expose them as some kind of double agent or triple agent, however you want to count that up, But that was kind of my take on it, especially since we don't hear a lot about Snowden anymore, mostly in a positive sense now. We don't hear a lot negative about him. And it seems that him and Julian Assange kind of are on the same ticket as far as that goes. So we're going to have to wait and see. But they do talk about Julian Assange a little bit here too. And this is the Bourne one. And what it says there is, it's talking about the plot to this Jason Bourne film, one of the latest ones. Who knows which one? But it's saying the CEO of a social media giant, Deep Dream, Kalor is the public face of corporate social responsibility in the internet age, but he was secretly funded by somebody named Dewey in the startup stage. Dewey intends to use Deep Dream for real-time mass surveillance alongside the latest incarnation of the CIA's targeted assassination beta program known as Iron Hand, when Kalor has second thoughts about giving the CIA access to Deep Dream. Okay. And Q's telling us this. I mean, this is one of those things where it's almost like, truth is crazier than fiction, or whatever that saying is. Because look at, if this is what Q is telling us, right? We had so many proofs here that Q is close to the president, that Q is uh, inside of the military intelligence. There's obviously connections to all types of different organizations, intelligence agencies, so on and so forth. And he's basically telling us, Q is saying that the social media giants are basically being forced to cooperate with the CIA in order to use programs that can basically uh, put people into a trance and brainwash them into committing acts of violence. Um, I mean, if that is true, which this is just, like I've said before, a lot of things we cover on here are a lot of speculation, a lot of conjecture. But if that is true, that is incredibly disturbing. I mean, that's beyond disturbing, and it needs to be figured out. And we hope and we're praying that Gina Haspel does her job and finds out what's going on. But Q responds to this saying, think born, covert ops classified, career installed, think cell, past drops go missing, Q. All right, so what is this referring to, right? It's basically telling us that we need to remember that there's a lot more involved with this. This could be a covert operation. Um, you know, I'm not sure how career installed, correlates, and I'm not sure thinking cell. The cell phones have been used. Total. I mean, Q told us in the past about cell phones, and if you guys don't believe me, I mean, this is crazy, but it's what Q is basically alleging, that cell phones actually have the ability to actually to use frequencies and to use basically uh, I want to say it's like a form of a emission from their bad, or their ability to concentrate wavelengths. That's excuse me, it took me so long to get to that. It's I wasn't thinking about talking about this, except it's come up now. Wavelengths and different variations of wavelengths can be used, and Q has suggested that those wavelengths are used to basically brainwash people, to zap their brains, especially. And this doesn't work, I think, with everyone. I think people have to be specifically susceptible. People have to have mental illness. People have to have these certain criteria that make them susceptible to this process. But this is incredible, and we talked about this in previous posts, and we're going to talk about this here. Q runs a security test in the next post, and he says, in an ANON here post, that Pick of the Last Bread, also Air 502 host, and asks if it's a DDoS, which is a denial of service attack, which is basically when you flood a server, you flood a website with so much traffic that you're denying service because it can't handle that traffic, so the website goes down. Q says, site under attack, info shared, highly sensitive, Q. So guys, what we just have been covering here with the cell phone, the wavelengths, with the mind control, the therapists, the secret intelligence programs, covert operation programs, this is all very sensitive, and they don't want this information getting out there. So it's up to you guys to put together dots for yourself. I mean, this is literally, if all of this is turning out to be true, or does turn out to be true, we're talking about some of the most unfathomably sick and twisted individuals in the world who think it's okay to commit these kind of atrocities against us. And in that circumstance, look, we're out here, we're just exposing the truth. We're not calling for action. We're not doing anything other than calling for law and order. We're calling for truth. We're calling for transparency. We're calling for things that the American people deserve. We're not like the left. We're not out telling people to go dox people and to go attack them in their private lives and not allow them to have a political view and not allow them to participate in the public domain. No, we're not doing that here, even though we're being told all this crazy evil stuff. And I think that's something important to note. That's something very important to note, especially when you think about what, they're coming to shut us down. They're coming to shut this down. And they're going to come in and attack us too. And that's what Q warns us about in the next post. But before that, I just want to say, this is our time to really separate ourselves from the left. If we really want to defeat them, if we really want to expose the evil and we really want to expose the truth, what we have to do is collectively say no to their violence. We have to collectively say no to their targeted harassment. We have to collectively say no to the tactics that they choose to use and choose to propagate as being okay, because they are desperate and they are in crisis and they are in panic, and we're not. We're calm, we're cool, we're rational, we're examining the facts, we're following them where they lead us, and that's it. So, everybody who wants to label our movement as some crazy conspiracy nut movement and we're all like getting ready to have a secret takeover of something. No, this is simple. We want truth. We want transparency. We want this evil exposed. We want it out of our government. We want it out of this world. Okay? And we're going to do everything we can every day to expose it. And no matter what they do and no matter what they say, like in this next post, or in the next few posts where they talk about this. All right, here. We'll read through Q posts. Let's go ahead and say, coordinated effort to ramp pro-violent attacks, 4chan, 8chan poll threads, mods controlled on 4chan, staged to frame pro-POTUS supporters, push violence trap, share blue, coordinated reinforced learning attacks, I think that's what RL stands for, link, cause and effect, mainstream media outcry to force action. It's already begun, small to large, and it gives us Huffington Post article. And it says anticipated goal. Ready, David? Q. David Brock. Are you ready? Yeah, David Brock. We're talking to you. Are you ready for what the truth is? What's going to come out? What's going to happen here? Let's look at this crazy article first. It's saying the dark parts of the internet are celebrating Capital Gazette slayings. What? Okay, so they took a few random nut jobs off of 8chan and 4chan and Reddit, and they're talking about how we're all this way. We're all saying these things like dead journalists can't spread leftist propaganda. No, I do not condone that one iota of a fraction. That is sick. That is disgusting. That's a deplorable thing to say. There's a lot of people out there who are sick, who are out there just doing that. That's called trolling, right? And even in this article, you read through it and they're like, well, trolls are going to be trolls, but this is really serious. And no, there's just a lot of trolls out there. And then what's even worse is that there are people out there trying to frame us and make us all look bad. Oh, but for the fact that we say, oh, look, another false flag. If they suggest it's a false flag, that's fine. It warrants an investigation. You can look into something. You can have an opinion and say, is this that? You could ask a question and not have to be put into this, oh, well, you're crazy, dismiss you, get out of here. You're out of your mind. Why not investigate? Why not answer questions? Why not have open dialogue about it? But this is what they say. They put a few screenshots up of some nut jobs, and they say the alt-right has been rooting for violence against journalists for years. Now that blood has spilled in Annapolis, these guys couldn't be happier. What? Here, I'll show you this article. Let's look at it. Maxine Waters now playing the victim, saying that she had to cancel events due to very serious death threats. Are you kidding me? This woman's out on the streets encouraging the American public, her constituency, and all these nut job lunatics that follow her to go out and harass people and prevent people from participating in the public sphere and going to restaurants and having freedom of movement in our society, and going and harassing them for their political views and harassing their families. And now she's telling us that she's the victim? No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to go out. And I'm sorry, this is getting me really heated, but if you do not get to go out and make threats and do what I've basically said is basically domestic terrorism. Everything that she said and she did, it fills 2 of the 3 criteria to be considered domestic terrorism. And if you connect what happened at the Capital Gazette to her, then she's met all 3 of the criteria to become known or to be able to be indicted by a grand jury for domestic terrorism. And if you don't believe me, go look up the laws. I've already covered this, okay? I'm not going to reiterate all these things. I covered this in a video back here talking about her, and I think I covered it here in this one, actually. But listen, and then they're going to turn that up on us? They're going to say we're the ones? No. I don't believe it for 1 second. And, they got Milo in a thing. I don't even want to get into that because he made some provocative statement, as he always does, and they ended up, trying to use that against him. He needs to, I think he does it on purpose, but he can't, play both hands, say provocative things, and then complain when he gets, called out for it, even though I don't think he should be targeted for anything or blamed or targeted by PayPal or all the stuff that they're saying they're doing to him. But he made those statements, so it's kind of a. I'm not going to jump on other people's bandwagons just because they semi agree with what I think. The point is to point out that this is the targeting now they're going to take, because they're going to say, oh, the Capitol Gazette had to be because that we're celebrating, it has to be our fault, even though Maxine Waters was out there calling for violence days before, calling for harassment, calling for kicking people out of the public and not allowing them to move freely in public. But no. Let's ignore that and let's talk about the few nut jobs on 8chan, trolls who make weird, stupid remarks that don't represent the majority of anything. So that's my rant on this. This is just it kind of hits close to home, because you think, why are they doing this to us? And you realize that everything they're guilty of, that's what they accuse us of doing. It's sick. It's sad. But they're going to try to frame POTUS supporters, President of the United States supporters. They're going to try to push violence. They're going to make completely ridiculous hit piece websites like Share Blue Media to basically put out story after story about how they hate the president and how they're trying to undermine his administration, and how, and they even have this little article here, oh, ICE agents, Trump is preventing us from stopping child porn and terrorism. And then they're going to go in this article and rip the president apart because, here in the next one, they say that President Trump tried to bribe France, he's forcing the military to give him a parade. So this is another hit piece right here. But it's actually the truth. See, they're going and they're trying to stop ICE because there's a section inside of ICE called, I think it's the Homeland Security Investigation Unit, who's actually investigating things like child porn and terrorism. And they don't like that. They don't want ICE out there actually effectively defending our homeland. You know what they want? They want open borders. They want chaos. They want crime. That's what the left wants, and this is what it is. And they want their child porn, they want their pedophilia, they want it to all be acceptable. They're sick. They're evil and sick. Okay, don't forget that they're evil and sick. But yeah, coordinated RL. I think this is reinforced learning attacks. So it's basically a way for basically you to reinforce the negative stuff, because it's gonna be it's gonna be what causes the outcry and forced to action by the mainstream media. Oh, we have to shut down 8chan. Oh, we have to shut down these boards. We have to shut down freedom of speech because what they're saying is dangerous. No, what we're saying is, can we have an investigation into Hillary Clinton? Can we have an investigation into emails? Can we have an investigation into the FBI and their corruption? Can we understand why our government did not apply the law equally when it came to the crimes that were reported against allegedly committed by Hillary Clinton and the Barack Obama administration and the FBI and the DOJ and the intelligence agencies? Can we get some answers? But now Q's saying it's small to large, so they're going to blow this up. This is going to get big. And Q's saying, I guess this was anticipated, this Huffington Post hit piece against people who are just out trying to tell the truth. I mean, they pull up a few random crazies and try to label us as that. Then it says goal. Their goal is to shut us down. And David, are you ready? Because this is going to get really serious really quick as far as just informationally speaking. We're going to go into some really hardcore stuff. So you guys stick around. You're gonna keep learning here. Now, the next one is Q post a picture of an Anon and him having this post from before, where the Anon asked, "Is Ryan still there?" As in Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, still there because he is going to support POTUS. And Q responded, "Who brings votes to the House floor? Who decides? Why is this important? What is coming? Full weight of the House. Some must remain clean distance from what is about to happen." Q. All right, so Q says to this, kind of wants to give us more information on it, saying what vote occurred today, full weight of the House, why is this relevant, provides supportable grounds for deadline. Q. Well, what happened in the House? They had a vote to put forward a resolution that mandated that Rod Rosenstein turn over all documents requested by the congressional committees. And if he chooses to ignore that in 7 days, that will be the grounds for impeachment. And the vote was basically with the full weight of the House. I mean, there was, I think, nearly all the Republicans voted against or voted for this resolution. And I would say a few Democrats, but who knows? They vote in blocks, so who knows? But they gave the full weight of the House, and this is relevant because Q told us this was going to happen, and it's happened now. And it's provided the supportable grounds. The resolution itself is what the Congress can use to impeach Rod Rosenstein. And after we've gone over in previous episodes what that little weasel likes to say and do. So he's trying to weasel his way out of basically being implicated as one of the top players in this complete dereliction of duty on his behalf and others around him in allowing crimes to be committed and and basically deciding not to investigate or deciding to end investigations into crimes that were never actually fully investigated and or prosecuted to the extent that the law requires. The deadline, 7 days, I've heard, I think, from yesterday. So yeah, that's what that is. Now, all right, so the next post. This is an ANON post, this link to a website. Interesting website. We're going to talk about this in a second. But it says, why Brock Dorsey with a mention of Corsi, huh? Bull, you know what, bull crap meter off the charts with this one. Q responds, we are waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can't end this at any time by simply asking POTUS, right? We may have to force, quote unquote, this one. Q. Now, what is this all referring to? Well, here's the article. QAnon, the path of dictatorship. If you read through this, let's look at something really interesting. This website, what is its mission? A lot of blabbering, and these are the people who are running it. James Price, Everett Foster, Lilu and John, I guess. That's with some kind of binary, non-conforming trans couple. Non-binary, excuse me. And it says Stephen Van Walraven and Brett Stevens. Not any of these people are going by the name of Brock Dorsey. Well, that would lead me to be really suspicious off the bat. But if you read what their mission is, it's just a whole lot of rambling about how they're gonna, save the West and they need to save Western civilization and how it's all about rightism. And listen, these people are out of their minds. This is all concocted by my guess is David Brock and Jack Dorsey. This whole website's a hit piece for anything basically related to Q or anything. And now they're talking about how they're going to restore Western civilization because we are not in denial and notice that it has collapsed. These people are out of their minds. Anyway, let's read the amazing hit piece here. It's by Brock Dorsey, so let's just say possibly may or may not have been written by David Brock and Jack Dorsey together, which would make a lot of sense. But this whole thing talks about how Q, first they do a lot of stuff. They validate things. They say, oh yeah, well we know that there's evil. We know that Hillary's evil, and we know that they took money and bribes and that they were rigging elections, but Q is actually really just a way for President Trump to get rid of the judiciary and to take over in a military takeover of the entire government and to become a dictator. And that's the actual plan, that he's forming an army with all of us out here who are following it because it's all a part of a military operation, military intelligence operation to brainwash us into being to being acceptable of when President Trump makes his big takeover move where he basically shuts down the judiciary, gets rid of the judges, declares himself emperor, and that's it, right? This is all crazy crud. There's nothing in here the only thing that's true is when they talk about how, yes, there is corruption. Yes, there were bribes. Yes, we need to investigate Hillary. Yes, we need to look into the FBI spying on the Trump administration. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about those and not talk about this crazy theory that doesn't have any basis in reality, where you're trying to accuse the president of trying to launch some type of military coup. It's insane. It's beyond insane. And then they even quote Dr. Corsi, which just shows how out of touch these people are. This article uses Dr. Corsi as a referencing point, talking about how Jerome Corsi talked about Trump being recruited by U.S. military intelligence to run in like 3 years before the election or something. If that was the case, they went to him and said, "We need somebody in the office who's not a criminal, who's not, a predator of children. We need somebody in the office who's not allegedly raping kids and doing child sacrifice." And I'm not saying that those things happen. I'm saying that there's allegations out there being made on the internet that this stuff happens. I don't know. I'm telling you, it's speculation. But let's be quite honest. If the military were to approach President Trump before and say, "Look, are you going to run? Because we need somebody in there who's not a criminal." I mean, at the bare minimum, let's say that all of the stuff about the child stuff and all of that is made up, because I don't have any proof to say it isn't. So let's assume that that's made up. What about the proof we have regarding Clinton's? What about the proof we have regarding the lack of investigation into the special access programs being sold through the Clinton Foundation? What about the FBI trying to derail the Trump campaign by doing all this stuff with the Steele dossier and then trying to get President Trump impeached afterward when they realized that their little scheme to keep him from being nominated didn't work? Let's just look at those then. Let's start there. And then if there's more underneath the surface, we'll get to it. But I mean, that's what they don't want you to think about. They want you to think, "Oh, Q's this big deep state. We're all going to, run away now because we're terrified because we're being tricked into allowing President Trump to become a dictator." No. This is their attempt to push us off the trail, to push us away from the truth, to push us away from the one source of truth that's really true out here on the internet, and is giving us a lot of in-depth insight into things that we could never have imagined previous to this being made public. I mean, listen, I've been doing this for years. I've been following politics for years. I've been a staunch supporter of President Trump since basically like 2015 when he first announced. I was calling that he was going to win. I wrote an article about it. Listen, I'm telling you right now that this is all an attempt. This is all misdirection. This is all misinformation. This is all the disinformation on Q that they're going to put in your minds to try to brainwash you and trick you into believing that this is somehow some vast conspiracy for President Trump to become a dictator. That's the opposite of what President Trump wants. President Trump wants law and order. President Trump wants equal application of the law. President Trump wants the success of our country, our republic. I mean, him becoming a dictator would be completely antithetical to all of the things he's talked about his presidency being about. So, you guys do with that as you may. And what Q says here is really important. He says, "We are waiting for a reporter to ask the ultimate question. What are they waiting for? They can end this at any time simply by asking POTUS right. We may have to force them." What he's talking about, any reporter in the pool at the White House press briefings could say, "Who is QAnon? What is Q? Is President Trump Q?" They don't want to do it because they know it will expose the truth, and it will get so many eyes on it, and it will get so many people awakened to what's going on. That's why they can't ask that question. But Q's saying, if you really think this is a conspiracy, if you're going to go out here and write articles about how President Trump's going to become a dictator through this Q thing, if you really believe that, Brock Dorsey, fakest name I've ever heard. If you really believe that, Brock, why don't you get one of your buddies, or if you're at the White House press briefing, or you know somebody that's in there, why don't you ask one of them to ask President Trump who Q is? Honestly. Because you could end it at any time. That's what Q is saying. Now, the next one is important. Q says, "It must happen. Conspiracy no more. Think of every post made. It would force us to prove everything stated to avoid looking crazy, correct? What do they fear the most? Public awakening. If they ask, they self-destruct. They know this is real. See attacks. The build is near complete, growing exponentially. You are the frame. You are the support. People will be lost. People will be terrified. People will reject. People will need to be guided. Do not be afraid. We will succeed. Timing is everything. Think Huber. Think DOJ FBI reorganization. Think sex child arrest news. Think resignations, loss of control. How do you remove evil in power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? It must be compelling to avoid a divide, political attack optics. We are the majority, growing, worldwide, sheep no more, together, Q." I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what is being referred to here. They know if they ask, they will be self-destructing because they know it's real, and they will, and you can see the attacks. They're building it up against us, and we are growing exponentially, and we are the frame, we are the support. A lot of those that you guys know and are going to try to bring in are going to be terrified, lost, and rejected. And that's fine because, some people just can't handle the truth. But they will need to be guided, and that's what this channel is here to do. We talk about God first, and then we talk about what's going on with what's going on in the world, how all this correlates, how the Q posts correlate to actual real world events and things that are happening in our government and around the world that matter. Telling us, do not be afraid, we will succeed. Timing is everything, so we have this timed out. It's going to be very important to follow that timing. Think about what's going on with Huber. He's going to be indicting, hopefully soon. DOJ, FBI reorganization. We got all those criminals out of there. Hopefully, Rosenstein will be the next, right? Think child sex arrests. Well, we've had so many sweeping arrests across the nation, thousands of pedophiles being rounded up, and people who are former Nobel Peace Prize nominees being rounded up for this stuff, former Clinton campaign officials. So yeah, I think that's a big deal that we need to remember. And think resignations. So all the people who have been forced to step down, they've lost their positions of power, thereby losing their control. And it's how do you reveal or remove evil and power unless you reveal the ultimate truth? That's the question. So we have to reveal the ultimate truth. That's why all this is happening. And that's why Q exists, because we have to reveal the ultimate truth. And it says it must be compelling to avoid a divide. So they don't want the optics of this being a political attack. Like, it's not President Trump going out and going against his political enemies. It's against anyone who commits crimes like this. Anybody who's out there targeting children or targeting our country for treasonous activities like corruption and bribery and selling our secrets to foreign states. Anyone who's out there committing acts of evil, like what's happened in Maryland just recently, this evil person doing an evil thing. That's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. It says we are the majority, growing. Yes, we are, worldwide. So this is not just us. Trust me, I get messages from people all over the world, from Thailand to Australia, and all the way to to the United Kingdom, and then to Europe and many European countries. So guys, this is a global thing. This is not just contained within the United States, and that's what scares them the most, is because we're not just exposing what's going on here in the United States, but we're exposing what the evil is all around the world and how it all works together. And you can't just go, like I said before, you can't come into the United States and just say, okay, we're going to arrest everyone and just keep it here in the United States. And then all the other countries with all their other little cabals and their minions, that they're the ones who are, it's all together. It's all a system that's linked. So that's pretty much it for this episode. I just want to say thank you all for watching. Obviously, if you're looking for a way to support the channel, please, the best way to do it is, if you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please come here to this landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. It helps me out big time. It's free to you. It's like throwing a buck to me, and it makes a huge difference. So please, if you haven't done that yet, please come hit that big red subscribe button. Now, the second best way is to scroll down at the end of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because like I say, at the end of each one of these videos, we try to have our own QAnon research board where we go over not just the Q posts, but news and what's going on and how it all correlates, and how different analyses on the Q posts and different analyses on different news articles and pieces of news media. So you guys go down there, even if you can't comment, just scroll down and read through the comments, because I guarantee you're gonna read something you didn't know, and it's just a very informative and great place to get into. Now, before we go, I want to have a couple of announcements pretty quickly. First off, if you want to help Just Informed Talk New or justinformednews.com, it's the website I'm launching. Come over here to my Twitter page at Justin_form. There's a link right here that'll take you to the justinformednews.com website fund on GoFundMe. We're doing great, guys. We've made so much progress of the goal I've set here. Thank you to everyone. If you guys want to come help, we're so close to hitting that goal. I'm in talks with some people, actually. One web designer in particular reached out to me, who's been featured in many different great places, and we're still in talks, so I don't want to say anything else. But let's just say that if I can get them on board to help build this website, we're going to have a really, really awesome website, but we need the funding. So if you guys want to come contribute, that makes a huge difference. It's gofundme.com/justinformedtalk. simple enough to find. If you want to contribute, please do. That's an incredible help to the channel. Another way to contribute financially is if you want to support the channel itself. This is the fuel of the channel right here. This is so that I can post no matter what happens with YouTube, demonetization, all that stuff. If that occurs, this is what keeps the channel alive and going, so I can do this 24/7, 365, because I'm here every day for you guys, and you guys are here supporting me, and that makes a huge difference. So come to Patreon. That's patreon.com. Search Just Informed Talk. When you come to this page, click this button, become a patron. Makes a huge difference, and I really, really, really appreciate everybody who comes here and does that. Now, before we go, I want to talk about, well, really quickly, I'll just mention again, we have this cool conference, you guys, coming up. Check it out, AmericanPriority.com. I've been asked to participate in one of the panels there. There's going to be an incredible amount of cool people. I'm excited myself to go meet some of these people and to participate in a conference with them. But you're going to have people there like Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, Roger Stone, Ann Coulter. I mean, there's going to be like a who's who of people who are big in politics, big in the government, or in the media, I guess. And we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna join them there. I'm gonna try to do some live. If I'm not able to live stream from it, I will actually make videos through it, so you guys will know. I'll give you updates. But that's cool. It's coming up in September. Like I said, go to AmericanPriority.com or at Priority Conference if you guys want more information on that. But I'm very excited to be participating in that, and I'm thankful to the event hosts for considering me and asking me to come participate, because it's going to be a real honor. Now, before we go, I have this great verse, right, from, and I love the whole point of this show. What we do here, Just Informed Talk, is to cover. We cover the news, we cover the Q, we cover things that are happening, but we more importantly cover God. We talk about God. Why is God important? How does He correlate back to the evil that we're fighting? How does His grace? How is His grace so important? Why is His grace so important to us? These things are important questions to ask, but the Lord talks about people who are faithful, and He talks about, in the face of evil, how the faithful will succeed, how they will prevail, how with God you will always succeed, you will always win. Even if it feels like you're failing at the moment, it's all part of God's plan. If you're really devoted and true in your faith, it will come to your ultimate fruition of winning. Even if your win is to become, we've already won, basically. We have eternal life through Jesus because He died on the cross for our sins, and you're saved. So God's already made that big sacrifice for you. Your sacrifice now you have to make is to follow God's teachings, to follow His ways, to pray, to become a good Christian. These are the things you need to focus on. We all need to focus on. I do my best every day to follow those kind of tenets and principles in myself. So let's talk about this, though. Psalm 37, we're going to read verses 23 to 31. It's just so important. It makes a lot of sense to me. We're talking about how God rewards the righteous and how He will take care of those who are evil. And we talk about a lot of evil on here, so it's good to remind ourselves of the power of God. So here we go, Psalm 37, verse 23 and forward. A man's steps are established by the Lord, and he takes pleasure in his way. Though he falls, he will not be overwhelmed, because the Lord holds his hand. I have been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous abandoned, or his children begging bread. He is always generous, always lending, and his children are a blessing. Turn away from evil and do what is good, and dwell there forever. For the Lord loves justice, and will not abandon His faithful ones. They are kept safe forever, but the children of the wicked will be destroyed. The righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it permanently. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom. His tongue speaks what is just. The instruction of his God is in his heart. His steps do not falter. Yeah, if you put your faith in God and you put your whole life to God, He will guide you. Even if you fall, He is there holding your hand. He'll lift you back up. So remember, a lot of people, I've heard some people say to me, Craig, it's tough for me because I've had all these situations and I've been put in a bad place and I'm going through this and I'm going through that. And all I can really ever say back to that is have faith, trust in God. Remember that you, through your righteousness and your belief in God and your genuine attempt on a daily basis to be good and to spread truth and to spread light, Those things are what are going to make a difference between you and your creator. And when you end up in one of those situations, just remember God's love is greater and that he will punish the wicked and he will reward the righteous. So if you don't take anything else, just remember God absolutely loves you. And professing your belief in God and living in a living through God's grace and living in a righteous manner is what God asks us to do. And it's a pretty simple thing, but it takes a lot of work, especially in today's world, because there's so much evil all around us that it takes a real strength inside your heart to know that your love and your ability to overcome that hatred is gifted to you through God's grace. So just hold on to that, reach out for it, pray, read the Bible, go to church, live a godly life. That's my best advice to you guys. And I'll absolutely always be praying for all of us together. And I really, if you guys, if you're looking for support the channel, now's a great time to do it. And you haven't hit the subscribe button, please come here and click the big red subscribe button. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I want to say thank you again for watching. Stay tuned, more Q posts I'm sure on the way. This is going to be it though. So this has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.